Hey everyone, another Saber video for you. This is a commission build, so just doing a quick breakdown. It is a KRSabers RVN or Revan V2 that I put together for Nick. It is a very, very sleek, very kind of simplistic, but still actually quite sophisticated hilt. Came together really nicely, nice easy job to put together. It's rocking a Goth Eco CC chassis inside. Oh, my 3D printer just finished. A Goth Eco CC chassis on the inside. Bunch of stock connectors. Well, one stock connector at the top for the blade. I believe a 22mm speaker, possibly 24. Can't remember off the top of my head. Two tactile switches, and then two neopixel accents on the inside. And the soundboard is a Proffie 2.2. So not much to say about the outside really. I didn't have to do any modification to it. I did print a tiny little spacer ring that sits down the bottom just to make sure that the chassis itself is held in very, very snugly. There was a little bit of a rattle when the chassis was installed into the hilt previously, so I just printed a little spacer ring to hold that in place. The position to unscrew this one in, don't unscrew the pommel down the bottom, instead unscrew it here, just below the thicker section of the grip. This entire lower section will unscrew. It's quite a lot of threads, bear with it, but I've greased them so they should be nice and slick. Yeah, that's all good. It just comes off in one piece. And this reveals the chassis itself. This chassis is removable. The whole thing slides out. Obviously, there's only one orientation in which it can slide in because it has to align with the two buttons. You don't need to put it in and twist it or anything. It'll just come out in one smooth, straight motion like this. There it goes all the way. It's a very, very long boy. This is an incredibly long chassis. But it's got everything in it that you could possibly want. It's got your stock Eco V3 at the top. There's your crystal chamber with the two illuminated crystals. The battery sits here. Proffieboard sits there, and then the speaker lives down the bottom, kind of hidden away in this little resonance chamber that's been printed. Some nice kind of copper accent piping up top as well. So this chassis I painted in matte black and gold for the crystal chamber. Deco Paint Gold, I think, is the brand. And the rest is just in like a citadel black paint. I only do that because I don't like the way that the filament looks when it arrives. I think it looks quite grainy. Some people may prefer it. I just like to chuck a bit of paint on it because it takes 5 minutes, and in my opinion it makes it look a bit more contrasty and kind of a bit more sleek. That's kind of all I can say about this. There's the thing that set this build apart from all the others is the sheer amount of sound fonts on there. So this being a Revan hilt, we put lots of Knights of the Old Republic fonts on there, and I believe we clocked in at 21 sound fonts from various makers, primarily from Kyberphonic, the old Knights bundle, which is 16 fonts alone, and then we've also got some ksith ones on there, some ksith I think as well, ksith, and a couple from just random saber font people, soundfont.com I believe, makers. So getting everything fit on there was a bit of a challenge. We clocked in at around 90% on the memory on the proffieboard, so it was tight. But each one has its own blade style, its own crystal animation, obviously its own sounds, and then they all come with different music tracks, different quotes, the lot. So this is kind of the ultimate Knights of the Old Republic sound font setup. So I'll pop a battery in and show you how it works. This is your chrome wrapped 18650 battery. The nipple of the battery up top goes to the battery tab that also has the nipple on. You can see it there, and the flat side goes to the spring leaf side. In this case, that means that the nipple of the battery is pointing downwards towards the speaker. Put the battery in the right way around, because if you don't, you'll fry the soundboard, and then that'll be a very bad time for everybody involved. The battery on this one is a bit snug. I find that when getting the battery in and out, or particularly getting it out, I have to use a pair of insulated plastic, make sure they're plastic, tweezers, and just kind of pop them between the positive end of the battery and the positive tab, pop them in, and then just flick and the battery will come out. But getting it in is a bit of a struggle sometimes. Start with the negative side up towards the crystal chamber. You might need to give it like a little push to get it there, but then once it's in, it will kind of slip home once you push it up and down like that, and then it pops into place. And then you flip your kill switch.
You are the one who deserves to be the Dark Lord.
Very impressive. These two crystals are wired independently, managed to have enough room for those cables. So for those wires, so those two crystals act independently of each other. It's a really sleek build. It came together quite nicely. I gave you some gesture control. We've got twist on, for example. Twist on, twist off. And then the two buttons work as a ignition button and an auxiliary button. It uses the FET263 2-button config with a few little modifications. I will send you the link to that so you know how the saber works. But apart from that, it's a standard 2-button saber. It's got all the proffieboard features, flash on clash, blaster bolt deflection, lightning block up, color change, volume menu, battery level, the works. When putting it back into the hilt, I like to power the chassis off, just in case the pins make contact with any of the metal inside the hilt and short anything. It's unlikely to happen, but it has happened, so I always do that to be safe. And then particularly with hilts that slide in with buttons, you want to make sure that the plungers are fully kind of sprung back and they're not stuck down. If a plunger gets stuck and you try and push the chassis inside, it'll shear off the button and then you'll be without a button. So that's obviously quite bad. So just look inside the hilt, click the plungers, make sure they're both moving fine, which in this case you can see they're loose, so that's fine. And then look at the orientation of your buttons, line those up, and then slide it all the way down inside the hilt. There you go, and it'll go all the way in. And then you can power it on
Dark Lord of the Sith.
and screw on the lower section of the hilt. This one's got really good sound venting. It actually sounds really loud for the size of the speaker that it is. One thing that I've noticed when screwing this in place, when you screw on this lower section and twist it, it tends to kind of twist the chassis a little bit, which may throw one of the buttons out of alignment. It's usually the auxiliary button. So if you have put this section of the hilt on and then you find that the auxiliary button is stuck, just twist it back the other way a tiny, tiny amount and it'll unstick the button. So that was a font change. I mean, there it's fine. Yeah, it's working fine, it's not a problem. So I don't need to twist it back in this case, but if you over tighten this lower section, it may pull the chassis out of alignment with the switch plungers. And if that's the case, you just twist it back a tiny bit and it's fixed. I'm going to chuck a blade in. It takes a 1-inch neopixel blade. It is a little bit snug. You may need to kind of sand your blade a little bit to get it to fit nicely. I'll send you a video on a good tutorial on how to sand blades. Kind of when getting this one in and out, I have to twist it a little bit so that it doesn't catch on anything. I think that's all the way in. Let's ignite it and find out. It was not all the way in. Does this happen? Just untwist it. Hang on. Let go, please. There we go. Is my retention screw all the way out? I'm going to back up on the retention screw just a tiny bit. Bear with me. Just want to make sure it's definitely all the way out, which now it is. Let's see if that goes in any better. There we go. That's nicer. Just retighten everything. Make sure we're nice and snug. Which we are.
Select preset.
Darthrevan.
There we go. Color change.
Revert.
Lightning block. Click auxiliary for blasters. Press and hold for blaster deflect. And then twist for power off, or click the power button again. Yeah, it's a really nice, simple, but very loud and quite impressive hilt. I believe this is your first kind of high-end hilt. And I think the plan is to do another one of these, but the other style of Darth Revan's, his Jedi hilt. I always thought they were the other way around. This is not his Jedi hilt, this is his Sith hilt, despite the fact this looks like a Jedi hilt, but you know, it is what it is. I'll just show off some of the different sound fonts for you. There's so many, I won't do them all, but we'll just go through some colours and some music and stuff.
Report. You are all fools.
I think this is an unstable red blade.
It has to be.
Okay.
Your sacrifice will not be in vain. The death.
I am Bastina Shan.
Loads of fonts on here.
Darth.
I'm my apprentice, Darth Bandon.
I am Juhani.
I came to warn you. My name's Beodor.
For the track player, as is standard on the FET263 config, hold it horizontally and then press and hold power. And you'll get all sorts of soundtracks. They're kind of specific to each sound font, so it does change.
Battery level 65%.
65% battery. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I don't really have a lot else to say on this one. If anything, kind of... Bloody gesture controls, honestly. If anything has kind of stood out that you want changed, give me a shout and I'll take a look. I'm pretty happy with the way this one kind of came together. It was a nice simple install, went together really smoothly. I'm pretty sure it meets all of your needs. Huge amount of sound fonts, nice and loud, and nice and shiny. Yeah, if you've got any questions or concerns, give me a shout. If not, I will ship this one out to you as soon as possible. It's been a pleasure to put this one together for you, Nick. Hope you enjoy it. Hope it's the first of many. Thank you for watching, everybody. Take care. May the force be with you, and I will see you again in the next one. Bye.